there you have it. Shishito Bleu Cheese, what was supposed to be a carbonara, now turned pesto. I messed up. One of the freaking easiest dishes to make. I made some shishito peppers and I didn't use the air frying in that multi-use freaking toaster oven. And so I basically just had boiled in oil, steamed shishito peppers. So here's my first audition tape to be an amateur chopped competitor. So the game plan with the shishito peppers is that I'm gonna try to make a green carbonara with the shishito peppers, probably add some spinach, and I have some leftover blue cheese from a charcuterie board that I had this weekend. So I'm gonna make a carbonara out of that cheese. I know carbonara is usually made with heavy cream, so I'm gonna try to kind of ride the balance of liquid and creaminess with some water. And then worst case scenario, if it's too watery, I will either try to use oat milk or I'll try to use nutritional yeast, throw it back in there to add back creaminess. Vegans usually use nutritional yeast to get a faux cream with their ingredients. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my greens. I am going to blend it up and hope for the best here. I am just taking out these tops. So this is actually more than I imagined. So let's see how this blends up first. All right, so this is looking much better than I thought it would. See, it's starting to slide. It's not like it's so thick. This is, to me, potentially not enough green. So I'm gonna add in some spinach, plus I gotta use it. I'm gonna add some water. I'm not gonna make it hot. The blade spins, it actually creates heat. So, you know, if you're slapping a chicken, you're actually sort of cooking it. So how many times will I have to slap the spinach to cook it? Thousands of times with the blade. So the spinach had a couple benefits. It is actually a much nicer green now, rather than the pale green that it was. You can still kind of see that pale green right there at the bottom. It feels watery enough to where I can throw in some blue cheese and see how this goes. Here's the blue cheese that I used, the Trader Joe's brand. This blue cheese is actually it's not super funky. So I'm hoping I won't blow out my flavor senses by adding a lot of blue cheese to this mix here. Does that look right? It'll be like half cheese. Just go for it. Just waiting for the fudge to come down. Trying to be careful not to cook this too much as I blend it up. So this is actually looking really awesome. I thought it was gonna be really thick, but it's closer to a pesto right now. Oh, I hope that caught. So with the spinach, the shishito, and the blue, I'm finding this to be almost too bitter. So I'm gonna need some sort of acid in here eventually. Maybe some salt as well. So for this carbonara, I'm gonna get my salt from this soy braised egg that I've had. You can see one of them is too braised right there. But I'm gonna use this soy braised egg to be the salt, but I'm gonna add this because it's a carbonara. I'm gonna add this once the noodles are cooked. So I think we're past the hard part. Let's make the noodles. So I recently saw a TikTok where Italians don't put olive oil in their pasta water. So I stopped doing it mostly because I revere Italians for their noodle game. But if you're worried about throwing away the olive oil, then you're also, to me, throwing away the salt, right? So I still add salt because whether it's true or not, salt at least drops the boiling temperature of the water. So you'll get to boiling faster with a salt water. So flavor aside, there's still benefits to using salt in your pasta water. I'm also gonna add these dried mushrooms just to give it a little bit more, not texture, but I want something else besides noodles in the plate. It doesn't need more blue cheese. That's not the solution. And of course, no carbonara is complete without some sort of fatty, chopped deli meat. I think this is the Coppa, spicy Coppa from Trader Joe's. I'm gonna chop this up, fry it up, because I think it's gross. I think it's gross for charcuterie. I'm not really caring about what it looks like. And I'm gonna be lazy and I'm gonna use the same pot so I don't have to wash more dishes for you guys. As you can see here, not super refined, but let's just chalk it up to rustic. So I put 9 minutes. It usually says 8 to 9 minutes on the box. I'm gonna cut this a little early because I'm gonna apply more heat to it later. I've got my colander and the pan just so we can save the pasta water. So same pot, I'm gonna wait for the water to evaporate. I'm gonna take this out. See, now it's not just all noodles. So I'd say we're probably just gonna need about a half cup of water and then I'm gonna throw the rest away. If you want, you can keep it. It's starchy and earthy from the mushrooms. So this is dry now just from the heat being applied. I'm not adding in any oil because it should be fatty enough. I might be wrong. Medium heat. I might even drop it to low so we can get really crispy. I'm tossing these around so that the remaining heat gets distributed here so it's not overcooking in the middle. So from what it looks like, I should keep it on medium heat. It's not overcooking too fast without that Maillard reaction. So you can see this starting to crisp up now. No oil. Now that we're done frying that up, I'm gonna add a little bit of pasta water because this is looking a little dry now that it's been out. Look how good that pasta water looks. Throw this in. So I think the important part of the carbonara here is that the yolks need to cook. So I will drop this in and make sure I pop the yolk because I don't want it to just be a scrambled egg. And then now we throw in this pasta, this pesto. See, look, it might be a little too creamy. So I'm gonna rely on the pasta water again. Make it easier as a sauce. Yeah, that's it. That's a better texture. I'm turning the heat off since there's still gonna be a lot of heat here. You can see the mushrooms picked up a lot of the yolk. And then now that it's hot, it really smells like blue cheese. Man, I'm worried this is gonna be too funky. So here is your blue cheese pesto. Let's try it. Still a little bitter. right, it's missing something. But there is that bitterness to it. So how do we fix bitter? I think I'm gonna go a little bit of spice. Crushed red pepper. I usually don't think these are spicy, but it'll also look nice color-wise. And then I do think it needs more salt. I got this smoked sea salt in Italy. I like to buy a bunch of different salts when I'm traveling. All right, one more try, then maybe this should be ready. Oh, that's it. That's it. Let's plate it. Plate it up. I'm gonna make sure to grab some of this mushroom and then take this. There you have it. Shishito Bleu Cheese, what was supposed to be a carbonara, now turned pesto. So our biggest competition was the bitterness of having the shishito and the spinach blended up, and of course the funk of the blue cheese. So we battled it with the water, and then honestly the mushrooms are a nice touch. They're only coated on the outside with the sauce, and then the inside they're still fresh, earthy. I mean, they're dried mushrooms, but they're still earthy. And then this spicy Coppa cuts nicely, and the spice was definitely the cure for the blue cheese. So we battled the bitterness with saltiness, and then the funk toned it down with the spiciness. Maybe toned it down isn't the word, but spiciness can put up with the funk and complement it. I think that's a win. You should definitely try this. I am so pleased. I think this is a great audition tape for the Chopped Amateur competition. If you like this video, please give it a like. I'm trying to figure out if I need to do more of this style videos or just keep eating out, but man, really though, I'm pleased with this. If I were a smarter chef who knew what he was doing, I'd probably brand this as a Japanese style pesto, because I'm realizing I used shishito peppers and I used that soy marinated egg yolk, which I think is a Japanese style practice. Not that I'm a genius, but that was fire.